Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced and you're listening to Alex Merced Says. So basically the show is going to be going on by a new name going forward, and basically the focus is just going to be sort of my general commentary going forward on things that I find interesting, I find valuable to talk about, and hopefully that you guys find interesting as well. So please do tell your friends about the show, Alex Merced Says Stuff, which will be on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And it's not going to be a weekly show. It's not going to be a monthly show. Could be multiple times a week. Could be once a month. Could be every other week. It's going to be as often as I have something that needs to be said. So hopefully you guys subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe so they can catch some interesting commentary, not just on politics, but also on economics, on social commentary, on technology, on whatever's going on in the world, whatever's interesting, whatever matters. So today I want to sit there and talk a little bit about immigration, just because that's sort of been the focus a lot with the politics in the U.S., which is sort of the nature of the Trump administration and the things that they focus on. And sort of the narrative that you hear from the Trump administration, particularly during the State of the Union, was that immigration should be merit-based. Okay, basically saying that we should take a look at the labor market in the U.S., see where there's a shortage of labor, and only allow people who necessarily have those skills to immigrate in the economy, or people who can basically are wealthy and they can come to the economy and add their wealth to the economy. Factors like that. So that means he wants to change and get rid of different programs such as the visa lottery, which basically gave essentially random people from different countries visas to come to the U.S. Wasn't basically picked on need, wasn't picked on, it was just sort of, it's a lottery. That what he refers to as chain migration. This just means that the idea that family members can sponsor other family members. So basically, if I'm in the country and I have a cousin that would like to be in the country, I could sponsor them, and after some time, they can come and get a visa to come here. Which is technically how most of my family came to the United States. I mean, arguably, I would not be here. I would not exist if it were not for the ability for family members to sponsor each other. Because essentially, I'm first generation. I'm a first generation American. My mom is from Guatemala. I mean, my dad's from Puerto Rico, though. That's kind of how I'm a U.S. Well, I'm born here in the United States, so I'm a U.S. citizen either way. But that's kind of how all that worked out. So these are technically rules that, if they were implemented at a different time, would actually have a real serious effect on my personal life. But that's not the point. The point is sort of, are we missing something? Are we missing something in the argument? Like, is the only reason you need more people is because you need to fill labor market shortages? That's immigrants do a lot of other things. They start businesses disproportionately because they're looking for opportunities that they couldn't oftentimes have in the countries that they were from, that may have made it more difficult to start a company, even with sort of lower cost structures, because in other countries the cost of living is smaller, but the economic opportunities are less due to bureaucracy, due to several other factors. Okay, so there's an aspect of you're leaving entrepreneurs on the table, because you can't. It's impossible to identify who's going to be that entrepreneur who changes everything. It's impossible to understand who's going to be the person with the idea. A lot of people come, they work low-skilled labor, and then eventually some sort of idea pops into their head, and then they become the next big entrepreneur. You can't predict that. But also on top of it, more people means more exchanges of ideas, and sometimes ideas come from not necessarily, sometimes we don't even anticipate the kind of contribution that people who are here, whether they're an immigrant or not, have actually contributed, because we don't understand the effects of the conversations and the interactions they have with others, have with people down the road. I mean, it could have been one interaction, one experience with someone at some point in your life that led someone to have the idea that changes everything. So there's all this intangible benefit. But at the same time, you're bringing in more people, the more consumers. People always just focus on the labor side, in the sense that, if you have more people here, you're competing for the same jobs. But you're ignoring the fact that there are also going to be more people to buy stuff, pay sales tax, feeding local tax revenues, but at the same time also consumers feeding local businesses, which means there will also be more jobs, and especially low-skilled jobs, because that tends to be what retail consumerism tends to feed like low skilled wage labor and retail sales and production, some of the lower level production of those goods. So it isn't a zero sum game. But also the benefit of businesses being able to have a lower cost. Basically, if that restaurant does have a lower cost, I mean, that profit could mean it can hire more waiters because it's not spending as much on other staff. Or it can build a second restaurant, a second location, because it's able to profit enough off the first location. So so basically by just saying, hey, we need to make sure that everybody gets paid X amount, or we refuse to restaurants and other places that depend on sort of lower skilled labor cannot be profitable. You're not necessarily freeing up jobs, and you're not necessarily creating more jobs by doing that. I can see the appeal because people look at it one dimensionally. They're thinking, okay, well, if I'm a low skilled laborer, that other low skilled laborer is competing for me for that job. But you're not imagining the effect of that monetary savings throughout the economy. Because again, even if that restaurant doesn't use it to invest in its own restaurant by creating another location or hiring another staff member, maybe they go save it in the bank. Okay, well then that money gets lent to the bank to somebody to do something, whether it's to buy a house, start a business, or they go buy something for themselves. So the restaurant owner has a little bit better year, they buy extra presents for everybody, and those create jobs elsewhere in the economy because you're still spending it at a retail sector. It's going to go somewhere, it's going to do something. Bottom line is you're producing the same amount of goods and services, but you're spending less resources, so that just frees up resources to be used elsewhere. Now where isn't always going to be clear, but it's going to go somewhere. Okay, so when you force things to be less efficient, you say, okay, well, now you're just going to have to pay more for the same staff to produce the same resources, the same good that you were producing before. Well, you're just saying you have to take a lower profit. Now people say, well, people can raise prices. That's not always the case. Because, hey, maybe if that restaurant raises its prices, you just won't go to that restaurant anymore. So they may have to take the lower profits and therefore forego whatever benefit there would have been from that profit. At the same time, you may not get to enjoy your favorite restaurant anymore. Your favorite restaurant may close. There's all sorts of things and that's just on the economic side. There's also just a social side in the sense that you want a pluralist society, and in the sense that if you can introduce people that might have grown up in a less pluralist society, a more homogenous society, where it's when you're sort of when you don't get exposed to the people, you're more likely to develop prejudices and hold those prejudices for a long time because you have nothing challenging them. But when you're in a diverse society, you're constantly being challenged. You're constantly having your beliefs, your views, your prejudices tested because of the interactions you have with others. So that's everyone's benefit when people sort of moderate, not because anyone was forced to moderate or browbeaten for their views, but just because their experience contradict what they thought was true. But if people don't have those experiences, and again, that moderation translates over generations because that person moderates, their kids are probably going to be more moderate, etc. So you moderate radical ideas in the world when you have pluralism, interaction between diverse peoples and whatnot. And that's a good thing. Okay, that's a very good thing and a very solid reason to have sort of, again, a diverse population. So overall, I think there's just a lot of missing. And also, when people are able to bring families are support systems. So the fact that you have your family here, I can speak from experience. I mean, my family everybody was each other's support system very much growing up. And because of that, we didn't necessarily depend on outside help as much as we might have had. We didn't have that support system. If we didn't have someone you could crash with in a bad year, or someone to provide you with daycare so you can go to work because you're a single mom. So there's a benefit to having sort of that support system and being able to bring your support system with you if you go to another country, and not just your immediate family, but all the extended family. They all support each other. And I say this from experience. So, diversity is good. Low labor at all levels is good. You want the high-skilled labor because there's a demand for it. You want the low-skilled labor. That savings does spread out throughout the economy. And again, more people, more consumers. And that just basically overall people are a resource, one of the best resources they are, because they provide you with someone to socialize with leisure and joy, but they also provide you with the people you need to make society work, the consumers, the producers, the thinkers, the entrepreneurs. They fill all those roles. So a lot of this, of course, this doesn't mean that there shouldn't be processes to vet people to make sure that safety concerns, health concerns are addressed. But this whole sort of very limited utilitarian thinking on immigration, I find to be very short-sighted, and that's what I wanted to say today. So again, the show is now Alex Merced Says Stuff, because basically what I'm going to do is whenever you see a new episode, I want to be saying stuff about whatever I'm thinking about, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you aren't already. Tell your friends about the podcast, and if you want to support the show, and you wouldn't be just supporting this show, but all the other shows and all the other projects I'm with, which you can always check out over there at alexmerced.com, consider making a donation or becoming a reoccurring supporter over there at donate.alexmerced.com. It's appreciated. It allows us to take the message on a bigger level, reach more people, and also consider leaving a review over there on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. It helps us reach more people and for more people to find the podcast. Thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy.